I am Hoverman God, defender of justice, defender of the people, defender of the earth. You will hear the second live phone interview with an individual that you'll indeed enjoy as well as the first one. She has a personal insight of Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted, and her profession alone that you will listen to will definitely intrigue you. She would tell you her personal opinions, what she thought after reading Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted, the first historic comic book ever created in the world of a real crime revealed within the plots of the case, inside of the comic book, that you can help bring a suspect who is now wanted and on the loose to justice. So listen, and I'll be back. Thank you so much for taking out the time to, go over some questions that I had for you about the comic book, and this would be a good way of letting other people who may be curious and may not quite know whether or not if they should purchase the comic book, or because they probably never read a comic book or don't know anything about comic books, or just may be a little bit curious. So I thought, you know, I would get a hold of you. And since you purchased it, did you get it? Did you buy your a paperback, or did you get it through Kindle?
I got the paperback.
Oh, okay, you got it. Okay. How long did it take you? Did it take long for you to get your paperback?
No, I ordered it. I guess within a couple weeks I received it.
Oh, okay. Now, when you got your comic book finally in the mail through Amazon, you or did you so well yeah, I guess that'd be a good question to ask. Did you order your paperback of Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted from Amazon or from the website hovermancop.com?
Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it was through Amazon.
okay. And when you got the comic book, what was your first impression of the cover of the book? What your first overall impression?
Well, I was impressed. The, the book looks professional. The illustrations are as professional as well. The color is good. So I was quite impressed along with the book.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Overall, once you had the chance to read the comic book, overall, what was your thoughts of the of the comic book?
I thought that what you're trying to get across to um, young people and or anybody who buys the comic, the purpose of the comic, what you're trying to get across to them, that's what impressed me more. Um, because most comic books aren't. Well, this is the first comic book that I've seen that is a Christian comic book where you are, telling how you're doing your job with the help of God. And then, that's
Hmm.
trying to reach the young people,
Yeah.
and they need that.
Yeah.
So that's what stood out to me most.
Okay.
That it's a different type of comic book.
Okay. All right. While you was reading the comic book, is there a certain scene or a certain area of the comic book that really grasped you or made you think, or maybe you might have had questions about or wasn't quite sure, or something that really stood out that you remember most about the comic book of Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted?
Well, at the beginning, when you went to explain a little bit about the background of Hoverman Cop,
Okay.
that's kind mean, you weren't trying to cover up or you were letting people know right up front that God is your source of strength and power, and that's how you got to where you are, and where you want to be. So that's what stood out to me the most. And then kind of just work through the criminal aspect of it, the action part. Yeah. But you started out letting people know where you get your strength and power from. So that was good.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to structure it in a way to make sure that the readers know, because everybody has a drive, something that drives them to do what they do. And I know for me, what I was able to accomplish thus far in my career, it wasn't by myself.
Right.
It was a higher being that helped me get to where I was at, or where I am now currently. And I wanted to make sure that within the comic book it was structured in that way, so readers can get uh, uh, right off the top, know for a fact that it wasn't me. I was not able to do nothing on my own, and even to this point, anything in my life, I wasn't able to do anything on my own, because I've always had help from a higher power, and that power is from God. Not everybody has different beliefs. Some people don't believe in God, some people do. But in any case, this leads into the next question. Do you think this is a comic book that can reach people inside the church, people in the world? What's your opinion on that?
Yes, I believe it can. If somebody wants to be reached, if they don't want to fight it. I mean, but it's all about what that individual person wants. If they want to change their life, or if their heart is open to receive what is being presented to them. But yes, I believe it's for people that's in the church, people that's in the world, that's not Christians, or people that so-called call themselves Christians. But yeah, anybody can benefit from the book. I mean, it's simple. It's not hard to understand, and it's simple enough for little children to grab the storyline, and it's also good enough for an adult reader.
Yeah.
And as you grow and develop more and do the other comics, you grow off of this one and learn and just build on it.
Oh, very, very well said. That's a good point. So, what age limit do you think that a reader can start reading this type of comic book? What age do you think?
I would think a child that's in the second grade. I mean, it depends on their intellectual ability as well. But once you learn how to read and can comprehend, second, third, fourth grade.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be the age range for children to understand what it's about. Not just, I mean, even with the pictures, you kind of can kind of go through with it with the illustrations and see what it's about. But for a child to actually read it and get the deep meaning behind it, second, third grade, I think it's appropriate for them.
Okay. Now, in the comic book itself, let's say if I was to go to a college campus and I was to present this, let's say a criminal justice class, based on the aspect of the crime that was committed, and the action of it, and the steps, and all that happened in between the plots and all that kind of stuff within Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted. Do you think there's lessons that those who are in a college setting, or may want to be pursue law enforcement, or maybe even criminals who may see this type of comic book and understand the consequences that can take place when you commit a crime? Do you think this is something that can be taught at a college level? in your personal opinion?
I think that as the comic develops and as it grows, that it could, because it's to be continued. You know, it's moving forward, and when the criminal is caught, and you can show how he goes through the criminal justice system. You know, because
Okay.
now he's still on the loose.
Right.
He's a fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's the crime being committed now, and I think that the college student that's in there for criminal justice, if they continue to follow the comic, then they will see all the phases of the criminal justice system, from arrest, from offense, arrest, you know, just going through the the legal system, and you know they can follow that, and they can teach them that way. So,
Good point.
and if I don't know if you're gonna just stay with this story, this plot, this particular crime, or if you're gonna change to another one, as if this fugitive doesn't get caught, and just keep moving on to different ones. But you know, just I think you know the comic was gonna grow, and then you know you'll just add on to it, and this person will be most wanted, you know, still wanted, but you know, Hoverman cop is going on to the next criminal.
Very good points. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think just your point of view alone is enough meat for a person can chew off of, and as the readers or the listeners hear you give your point of view, people can get an idea that you know it's pretty legit what you're saying, and they can sense it, because I can pretty much sense it. It's sincere what you're saying, and I appreciate your feedback. And that's important for readers to understand that uh, the reason why Hoverman Cop Fugitive wanted this first comic book was structured in that way was to make an impact in more ways than one. Now, it's bigger than just the suspect itself, because the comic book shows readers that even when you encounter a dangerous situation, that if you're covered and you have a clear mind and a clear conscience and know who's over your life, you can make it through dangerous situations in your life. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and if you teach it to children while they're young, I believe that that's what you're doing, you know, going to schools and trying to make an impact on the children when they're young, instead of, you know, how people want to wait till they're older and try to intervention, but prevention is the best way to resolve that type of thing. Prevent it by education, by teaching, by letting people know, because without the education, I mean, you don't know, and to be ignorant of a fact, I mean, you're gonna commit crimes if you don't know what's going on, or not even a crime, but just not living the way you need to live. You know, because a lot of people get their lives all messed up, and they're not criminals.
Yeah.
They just make bad decisions, and then their decisions turn into these actions with consequences. Then they have to live their life with all these consequences, and a lot of them get mad at the world, but it's the consequences that you made. But if you learn at an early age, and this is a different way to reach young people, you know, you don't always have to do the same thing to reach them.
Yeah.
But it's the point, the main gist of it, or the main point behind what you're trying to get out to them remains the same always. It doesn't change. So it's just a different way to get it out there. And I think this comic book is neat. You know, it's something different. And you know, children like different things. They don't want the same thing over and over again. So I think that, you know, they will be interested in it, and it'll keep them in suspense. And that's what you want to do, keep them in suspense, but also teach them.
Yeah.
As you're going along, and drop the little nuggets in their mind and their spirit, and they get it. They may not seem to get it, but you drop those little nuggets in there, and they sit there for a while, and they start to take root in their life.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And listening, and while you were talking, I I think it's good for the listeners to know you specifically. You deal. Tell a little bit about your background. You're are you probation officer? Is that right?
Yes, I graduated from college in 1999, and I started working at a county correctional facility as a jailer. So I did that for 10 months. And prior to that, while I was still in school, I did an internship
Hmm.
at a probation department. And when a position became available at the probation department where I did my internship, and I applied there, and I got the job, and I just transferred from being a jailer to a adult probation officer, and I've been doing that since 2000. So I've been in criminal justice for almost 20 years, or 19 years and some months.
Wow.
And I also substitute. I was a substitute teacher after I graduated college and worked at the jail. So
Hmm.
I've been in the classroom. I've
Yeah.
been in the jailhouse. I'm at the
Hmm.
probation office, and I go to court, and I see young people coming in, as young as 16, on adult probation, a 17-year-old,
Mm.
with first-degree felonies,
Mm.
looking at 5 to 9 years of life in prison because of poor decisions they made because they
Mm.
had no structure growing up
No
because they
structure.
made a poor decision.
Hmm.
And then, now you have these serious big time consequences that a lot of times they don't even realize
Mm.
the seriousness of it.
Hmm.
Um, but
Mm.
that's my background.
Yeah.
So I'm in the criminal justice system, and I understand that we need something out there that's gonna, and it's a lot of different things. It's not just going to be one thing, but
Right.
it's something that can help reach the young people. And if this comic book is it, then more power to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What do you think is the hardest thing in your careers of dealing in the criminal justice system with the young and the old? What do you think is the major issue going on with people committing crimes? Why do you think they're committing these crimes?
I think it's a combination. It's the attitude. It's your attitude behind why you do what you do. I mean, you have people who have they weren't raised. They just kind of grew up like wolves, quote unquote,
Hmm.
just raise themselves with no structures. And you have some on the other end that had it all. It's about the decisions.
Mm.
The choices we make are very important. Your life is the sum total of the choices you make. If you choose the right thing, you're going to reap the benefits of that. If you
Mm.
choose the wrong thing, you make poor decisions, you're going to reap the benefits of that. So I think choices, not knowing, being ignorant,
Mm.
and not wanting people to tell you any better.
Mm.
I deal with a lot of that, trying to guide somebody in the right direction that does not want to be guided. That's difficult because there's a stone wall in front of you, and you're trying to chip at that stone wall. And if a person does not want the help, you can't give them the help.
Mm.
We
Right.
send people to treatment all the time, and they don't want to receive what you're trying to give them,
They don't
so
want it.
they're not going to receive it. So until that wall is broken down, and they have to tear the wall down.
Mm.
They have to release that, and that's this negative spirit, negative attitude, um, disrespect. Um, that's what I deal with on a daily basis.
Mm.
Not wanting to be told
Mm.
that this is wrong, this is what you need to do to correct it. Just selfishness. We live in a selfish society
Mm.
where what I want is what's most important, and if you don't want to give me what I want, I'm gonna take it.
Mm.
Um, so um, that's the most difficult thing because if I get a probationer, a client defendant, whatever you want to call them, that wants help, that's easier for me
Okay.
because if they're open to receive what I'm trying to give or what we have provided for them, then I can work with them. But if they're trying to be deceptive and conniving and trying to undercut me and not being honest with me, lying to me, and there's no way for me to help them, and I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
So that's what the most difficult thing that I run into in my job.
Mm. Well, I think it's important for listeners to know now that it was so many key points she made. But one thing is for sure that you may think just because you committed a crime or you may be committing crimes now, maybe you listening now and you're in some bad, you made some bad choices and you're in a bad predicament now, and you think you're getting away with it, but you're actually not. You may not want to listen to anybody, but if you don't want to listen now, when you're locked up, you can choose not to listen, but there's going to be some heavy consequences that you're going to have to go through when you're locked up. You're going to listen to somebody.
When I worked at the jail, that was the
Yes.
thing. We used to say you're gonna mind somebody.
Yeah. So it will behoove you to get yourself together now, because if you don't, you will sooner or later, whether you want to or not. So, and that's just the facts of reality.
You're right.
Is it right?
Right, because you're not going to be young. You're not going to be a young person forever who can, hustle, and, try to make it work. You're going to be a 60-year-old, person with no security. And then, who's going to take care of you? At 30, you can kind of make it, but at 60, and if you lived a life where you tore your physical body down, you're not going to be able to work. You're not going to have the ability to go out there and hustle and get what you need. And people are not going to want to take care of an adult.
That's right.
So when you're a teenager, early 20s and 30s,
yeah,
you're not going to be young forever. You're going to get old, and you don't have anything to support you. You're not self-sufficient. You're dependent on other people to provide for you and to help you. They don't see that when they're young.
Wow.
They don't see it.
Yeah, they don't see it. Wow. This was just, it was heavy. This is heavy. Now some of this is tough love, because one thing I know about you don't sugarcoat anything either. And this is real life. And you probably, if you're listening, you probably never heard this type of conversation probably ever in your life. But if I were you, I would hold on to every word she's just spoken to your ears, and what this conversation is about. This conversation alone can change your entire life completely if you would just take time out and listen. Now I don't know your background. You don't know our backgrounds. But one thing is for sure, that if you don't get a hold of yourself and make decisions and make a right choice, then the choices that you make, somebody else is going to make sure you follow their decisions they're going to make for your life. And it ain't going to be comfortable. It's not going to be exciting. And so I tell you, this has just been outstanding. And I didn't even and think that it would turn into this direction, but this is all correlating, and it all goes back to the aspect of just the importance of alleviating yourself from a life of crime. In this comic book, Hoverman Cop Fusion Wanted entails some things that even in the midst of a situation that you can encounter, whether it's good or bad, how the outcome turns out is based on each and every one of us. My story is not over. Your story is not over. But as your story and your life continues on, only you are the person that can have it to be continued or discontinued. So the question is, what are you going to do with the story of your life? And I'm hoping and I'm thankful that you listen, and hopefully you'll make the changes to steer yourself in another direction. And I thank you so much. This was uh, just a great conversation. I appreciate the time. This was just awesome.
Well, you're welcome, and I appreciate you for the hard work that you put forth in this to try to help reach somebody, because that's what we need. We need people who are in a position to help people, to go out on that limb and help people. And you help people in different ways, and this is one of the ways that the Lord gave you to come to help people. And I think it will help people. So, applause to you for your efforts and what you're doing. And you're going to reap the benefits of that. So it's just, like I said, at the end of the book, it says to be continued. So we'll see where it goes from here.
All right. I hope indeed that after listening to this phone interview, that many of you were encouraged, and some of you that may be struggling between two sides of right and wrong, whether to commit crime or not commit crime, live a life that is productive, constructive, or a life that leads to the path of you being incarcerated. It is my hope that each and every one of you will indeed purchase your comic book of Hoverman Cop Fugitive Wanted and share this insightful, important comic book that can change lives and help me change communities one person at a time. And may each and every one of you live a life with peace and justice. Over out.